Hey everyone, good afternoon. How's your day going? How are you doing? Are you doing good? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing well. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about sex beta programming, presidential level, and porn. In this case, we're talking about the president and Stormy Daniels. Many of you probably have heard already about that, right? About Stormy Daniels and how she was the porn star who had sex with Trump. So I wanted to play this clip and then talk about it a little bit. So let's get started. Here's the clip.
No. And then when I came out, he had come into the room, because when I left, he was in the dining room. When I came out, he was perched on the bed doing his, which is one of the things that proves I was there. I can tell you everything. It's never been denied. I peed, I touched up my lip gloss, dug through his toiletry bag. I have no shame. I did. I mean, who wouldn't, right? I didn't steal anything though. And then when I came out, he had come into the room, because when I left, he was in the dining room. When I came out, he was perched on the bed doing his best, most tragic Burt Reynolds. And I was just like, I don't know what happened to me, but I felt like my heart fell out of my vagina. Like people say like their heart drops to their stomach. Mine went past that. Like I remember like feeling hot water in my ears. You know what I'm talking about? Like this is horrible feeling, and thinking to myself, ugh, how did I misread this situation? Or like, here we go. Like another guy that thinks that because I work in porn or I'm a stripper that I don't know. It's like your soul leaves your body, and I yanked it back in for a moment and tried to make a snarky, funny comment, because that's what I do. I think I'm hilarious. And when up until 2 years ago, the next thing that I remember was sidestepping and him jumping up. Now, he never threatened me. He never put his hands on me. I do remember glancing and remembering that his bodyguard was standing right outside the door. Like, what am I going to do? And then I blacked out. And I think that when I first told the story, people misconstrued that when I say blacked out, that I passed, like that I had been drinking. So I'm so adamant. There was no drugs. There was no alcohol. There was none of that. And I just woke up on the bed naked with him fucking me, which there's an extreme loss of time there of about at least 2 minutes, perhaps as little as 60 seconds, because I distinctly remember what I was wearing. And I'm telling you, the shoes I had on were these gold sandals with like a bunch of little buckles, like high heels. They were off. They're not easy to get on and off. So I don't remember taking them off or how they got off, or if I did it, if he did it. I literally kind of had like an out-of-body experience or something like that. And then it was weird because we were on this side, like the bathroom door and the bed. So you would think that we would be here, but somehow my clothes and stuff were on this side of the bed and we were on this side. You know what I mean? And because we were by the window. And I don't know how I got there. I legit don't know how I got there. The next thing I know is he was having sex with me. And I never said no. But I didn't say yes either. And then up until 2 years ago. And this is not something that I have talked about a lot, because obviously most of the book and the interviews and stuff was longer than 2 years ago. I went to see, me and my ex went to see that movie, Bombshell.
Okay.
And there's, and I didn't think I would, I hate to use the word triggered, but it was in that movie that all the rest of it came back. And I remember standing there and when I went to sidestep, him jumping up, which I've always remembered. But this is something I never understood, why the press, the editor, there's a gap in the book. Like, everything is so detailed. I can tell you what pocket on his toiletry bag his gold-plated tweezers were in, and what brand shampoo he uses, and what exactly I was wearing. But I don't know how my dress and shoes got off. Like, no one thought to, like, push me harder for that. Like, how did that slip through? Like, no one, I've been interviewed by Time and Rolling Stone, and nobody was like, wait, so you just, you know what I mean? But now I do remember that I was standing there and I went to sidestep and he got up and I was like, what are you doing? And he basically used my, you don't want to go back to Louisiana. Like, if you really want to be a director and be taken serious, people who work for me, they got to really go all out. You got to show me you'll do whatever it takes, because there's a lot of people fighting for the same thing and people are hungry. And that's what I wanted. And it wasn't until I watched that movie at the end where the main characters are talking about how if she had spoke up, by not speaking up, she's responsible for everybody who came after her. And in my case, I remember sitting in the movie theater and my poor date was like, what the fuck is with this crazy bitch? Because I was fine. And then I just lost it. Like, I just lost it. I started, like, blowing snot bubbles in the movie theater, because it's true. If I had said something, maybe the people who got violated, assaulted, whatever word, put in an uncomfortable position, whatever word you want to use, after me, I'm not saying that they all wouldn't have happened, but at least they maybe would have been informed. And what breaks my heart is I now know that one of the girls that came after me was a 13-year-old girl.
Wait, a 13-year-old girl?
That's the one that, I don't know her name, but that claimed that something happened between her and Trump and they threatened her and she dropped it.
Came after you, meaning what, a certain amount of time later, or that same day?
No,
Okay,
not
a certain amount of time.
Yeah, years later.
Well, I mean, to play devil's advocate, most porn girls escort. Not everyone. I'm not saying, you're in that bunch, but when you look at porn as a whole, most girls, whether they call it a sugar daddy or whether they're actually,
I'm totally fine with it.
Put ads out or whatever, most porn girls escort.
Of course.
So I don't think it's an unreasonable assumption that, hey, this working porn star comes over to my hotel room, I'm going to pay her, we're going to have sex, and we're going to go our separate ways.
Well, he never paid me either.
So he never paid you?
No.
Okay. He never offered to pay you?
No,
Anything else like
absolutely not.
Seems like it would have been easier if he just did that, as opposed to trying to sell you a dream and the whole
100%. 100%. And then I would have been able to say yes or no.
Right.
I will be completely honest with you. At that point, I was so naive. It never came up, and I expected it to. I really did. I was like, he's going to offer me money. And part of me was like, I wonder how much he thinks I'm worth. Like, that's just me being brutally honest. I was curious.
Were you escorting at all at that time? Okay.
Absolutely not.
Got it.
Absolutely not. And if he would have offered, I would have said no thank you. But I have no problem with it. All my friends are escorts.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, absolutely no problem. But not only was it not discussed, it was, you know what I mean, or implied in any way. Like, there wasn't even footsie under the table. He didn't seem remotely attracted to me at all. Honestly, yeah, once we got to talking. And then if that had been the case, he didn't be like, how much do I owe you? Or thank you for your time. There was no transaction, which is one of the things that really upsets me, is because if that had been the case, this would not be a problem. You don't sell out a client. I read tarot cards now. I have clients that I do work with. It's the same. Like, you don't discuss that, it's a business transaction. You've agreed to do something, and this wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. Well, in your book, you go into graphic detail about.
Now, unfortunately, for people who've been groomed, they oftentimes go into a certain category that they were groomed for. So in Stormie's case, she was somebody who had been in the adult entertainment industry for quite some time And she has an ability that most of us in the adult entertainment industry have, and that's the ability to disassociate. You can completely detach yourself. For instance, if you're on set and you're called to do something, you could remove your feelings and look at it strictly as a job. So you're not all there, you're not all mentally there. Now, other times, if it's an abusive situation and you're forced to have sex or put in an uncomfortable sexual position, what'll happen, pun intended, is that the person will blank out completely. They'll completely leave their body during that time. So like your ka and your ba, your ka is your body, and then the ba is your soul. So your soul will actually leave your body during that time. So you're physically there, but mentally you have checked out and you are elsewhere. And that's a very common thing that happens with sex beta kittens. Now in this video, Stormie says that she lost time. She doesn't remember what happened. Now remember, oftentimes sex beta kittens are triggered. See, people know the right words to say, and they have files on them. They have literal medical files and other files. They place people around them who gather intel, and then they take this intel, they put it together in your medical file, your profile about what you like to do, your turn-ons, your turn-offs, your triggers, abuses that have happened to you, history of family, everything. It's very detailed. They gather all this information. So by the time they find the person that they plan to have sex with, they know how to trigger that person's altar, whether they like it or not, oftentimes. Now, am I saying that Trump did that? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying sometimes how the process works. So when Stormie Daniels says that she didn't know she was even having sex with this little dick man at first because she had checked out, I believe her. I believe her. And then oftentimes these people end up staying in these situations with these people because they're afraid of them, because these people have high powers. They can easily make someone be unearthed or make their life very difficult if they choose to remain. So, that could make it very difficult for a person to speak out or be honest. There are other reasons, of course, as well, and I don't choose to speculate what her case was or was not. I just think it's sad that this happens all the way around with people. As someone myself who was in the adult entertainment industry for some years, I can relate because I had the ability to somewhat disassociate. I couldn't leave my body for those type reasons. Yes, I know how to astral travel, but I didn't completely leave my body when things were happening because I didn't go that far. I tapped out of the entertainment on the adult side very early on. When Banger Brothers had approached me and I turned down the offer, everyone called me a prude, and I was okay with that. I just wasn't willing to do certain things. It's just not worth it to me. So I didn't have to disassociate myself from my physical being. I could just say no. Anyways, this is a typical case of grooming. This is a typical case of being triggered. And you heard her say when she was at the movie theater with her boyfriend how she was triggered into remembering what had happened, and she woke up and freaked out. That's very common. Sometimes victims of abuse don't realize that they're victims until many, many, many years later, if ever. Some people never find out that they were abused or what was done to them. They just have this knot in the pit of their stomach and they just don't understand why. I felt her when she said she felt like her soul fell out her twat. I get it. I do. I get it, because a lot of times that's all men think about. They look at us as sexual objects and they want us, so they'll do whatever they can to get the prize. They don't care about the spiritual well-being of us. They just want what they want when they want it. And it's very unfortunate. So when she said that she blocked out the memory, you know, it was probably a protection mechanism. And then when she's seen it on television on the screen of something similar, maybe that had happened to her at one point, or a certain word triggered her, or a sound, or a movement, or whatever, it caused her to have her pieces temporarily at least come together, where mentally she was whole at that time and able to remember the abuses that were done. I say abuses lightly. I'll say allegedly, even though from the video you could tell she knows exactly what his dick looked like and described it and described all the stuff he has. So shame on you, Donald. Shame on you.
Well, in your book, you go into graphic detail about his physical attributes.
For lack of?
You described his penis as smaller than average, but not freakishly small.
Right.
But you also said that he has a very unusual penis, like a huge mushroom head,
yes,
like a toadstool. And you said in the book, I lay there annoyed that I was getting fucked by a guy with Yeti pubes and a dick like the mushroom character in Mario Kart.
Yeah, I ruined Mario. Do you know how much hate mail I got from Super Mario fans?
I bet.
So much. I single-handedly ruined mushroom farmers and Mario Kart fans in one sentence. They were so angry. And I'll tell you that, like, that's one of the things that people sometimes give me shit about is, why did you body shame him? Why did you do that? And that's not something I would normally do. You know what I mean? I only did it because he called me a liar. Hey, Mr. Trump, all you have to do to prove I'm lying right now, drop your pants. Prove that I'm lying. Prove I didn't see your dick. He hasn't done it, has he?
I don't think he will either. I mean, to be fair. Okay, you said it may have been the least impressive sex I've ever had, but clearly he didn't share that opinion.
Right.
So he got off, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Condoms?
No.